Now it is my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Eric Yuan. He's the founder and CEO of Zoom Communications. Eric earned his bachelor's degree in applied mathematics with a minor in computer application from Shandong University of Science and Technology, and also a master's degree in geology engineering from China University of Mining and Technology in Beijing. He came to the US to join the tech boom and became one of the founding engineers and vice president of engineering at WebEx. Then WebEx was acquired by Cisco, so Eric became corporate vice president of engineering at Cisco, where he was responsible for Cisco's collaboration software development. Time magazine named Eric its 2020 Business Person of the Year and one of the 100 most influential people of 2020. If you might remember, that's during the pandemic. He was elected to the NAE last year in recognition of his leadership enabling worldwide video communications. We are grateful to Eric for coming to share his experience, perspective, and insights in a fireside chat with moderator Deanne Bell, who is a television host and the founder and CEO of Future Engineers. Please join me in welcoming Eric and Deanne to the stage.
Thank you, everyone. What a full audience. I'm excited for today. Thank you so much for joining. As you heard Sujay say and others say, the theme of today's meeting is engineering the future, innovation for people and the planet. And I can't be more thrilled to be joined on stage today here to talk about this and so much more with the founder and CEO of Zoom, Eric Yuan. Thanks so much for being here with us today, Eric.
Thank you.
So we are going to talk, I'm excited to get into everything Zoom, the past, the present, the future, also talk about you as an individual, as an innovator and a leader within Zoom, but also an innovator and a leader across the real-time collaboration and communication industry as a whole. Before we get going, I just want to make sure our audience knows that we're going to start with our little chat, and then we're going to save about 20 minutes at the end for questions from the audience. So if you have any burning questions that come into your head over the course of our conversation, save those, and we're going to be passing around the microphone later. And speaking of the audience, I know we mentioned there's National Academy of Engineering members. You were inducted last year in 2025. Congrats. We also have our early career engineers, and of course, we have so many students and educators in the room. Thank you so much for joining. And because we have so many students in the room, I thought we would start by going back to the very, very beginning. And I'd love for you to give us a glimpse of young Eric Yuan. I know you live in California now, but I know you were born and raised in China. What influences in your life really have shaped you into who you are today? What passions really kind of motivated you and drove you to being an innovator that you are today?
Yes, thank you, Deanne. So first of all, it's a great honor to be here. And President Sujay and all other NAE members, all the high school students, it's great to meet you here. I thought I can use Zoom to join today's the Fireside chat. And fortunately, it did not work, so I flew here from San Jose. And by the way, Mac's career journey is so inspiring. And back to your question, and Mac mentioned when he was in high school, is a paper boy, right? So when I was in high school, I call myself a poker boy. So meaning when I was in high school, and based on the introduction, you know that I did not go to the top university, in China, because when I was high school, I did not spend a lot of time on learning, and later on realized that's a huge mistake. So when I was at elementary school, and at that time, I like science a lot, but I did not work hard enough. I do not know what's my passion. But one thing actually I know, I want to learn. And I was not like a top student in my class, and maybe top 20%. Only until I was in college, I realized you have to work hard to make a progress. No matter how you think you're smart, it's not good enough. You have to work hard. And prior to going to the college, I think that's why I want to make sure every high school students know that no matter how smart you think you are, hard work is very important. And I didn't work hard. That's why when I was in K to 12, like elementary school, before I went to college, I really don't know what's my passion. And if I start over, for sure, I'm going to spend more time, right, to look at all the sense, everything, what I can do, what I should do, and at that time I don't. But in the college, I realized the science is very important. My major was applied mathematics. Minor is computer application. I started working very hard. I know, in the future, after I graduate, I wanted to become an engineer. So.
And so you started having this interest in engineering, you started getting this lifelong love of learning. When did you really get captivated with real-time communication, with this idea of, video conferencing and all of that? Was that in college or was that much, much later in life?
Much later in life.
Okay.
Because I moved to Silicon Valley in 1997 and to pursue my American dream, and I joined WebEx as one of the first several founding engineers. And I did write a lot of code, so that's why if anyone still uses the WebEx product, I still have some code I wrote in 1998. So, and because when I moved to Silicon Valley, right, for the first few years, I just worked so hard just to write a code and around the clock. And then later on, company got acquired by Cisco. And after a few years, I left Cisco to try to build a much better solution to deliver happiness back to WebEx customers. And I think around 9 or 10 months after they started the company, and the engineers, they built a sort of prototype. And when I played around the prototype, I realized, this is the idea I thought about before. Because when I was in college, and my girlfriend, she lived in a different, remote, different city, very far away. So at that time, more like a daydream, I thought about, wow, if you have a smart device, if you can just one click can talk with her and see her, that'd be amazing. And the moment when I saw the demo, I said, wow, I finally can connect the dots. So yeah.
Yes. And what Zoom has done for long-distance relationships, we are forever grateful for.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so you ended up in Silicon Valley. I read online that was, it took a lot of perseverance to get there. How many times did you apply to get to Silicon Valley, to get your visa?
9th attempt, I was successful.
The 9th attempt, that is some perseverance for sure. Okay, so you're in Silicon Valley. What is that like? When were you in Silicon Valley, and what was that culture of innovation like for you? And how did you really thrive in that?
Yeah, I really love Silicon Valley because since I lived there in 1997, very, very soon I feel like, that's, it's more like a home. The reason why is Silicon Valley has a very diversified culture. So meaning no matter where you are coming from, as long as you work hard, you think about what you can do differently to help the community, help a society, and you are very welcome there. So plus, if you have any good idea, you have a lot of supporters around you, VCs, and also a lot of successful leaders, and they all want to support you, right? So as long as you dream big, and very healthy, very innovative ecosystem in Silicon Valley. So I think that's the reason why Silicon Valley is worldwide innovation center, right? So for all the high school students, right? So whenever you have time, please, visit the Silicon Valley. So, and also a lot of great universities there as well. So.
Right, and then, so when you're in Silicon Valley, you were at WebEx, right? WebEx got acquired by Cisco, and I know some of our students in the room may not have been familiar with WebEx at the time. But then you made that big move to start Zoom in 2011. If my dates are correct, 2011 is also when Skype got acquired by Microsoft. Mm-hmm. So this is a big time for telecommunications. What made you want to take that risk? I mean, there's definitely competitors in the market. What made you feel like there was this opportunity? What did you want to innovate different with Zoom?
Yeah, so when I was a kid, and I was already inspired by a lot of great stories, in Silicon Valley, like in Apple or HP, and a lot of great companies, right? When I was a kid, I already read a lot of stories. So when I moved to Silicon Valley, and at that time, 1997, that's internet era. A lot of companies in public, a lot of billboard along the highway 101. At that time, I already told myself, I got to work as hard as I can. Someday, I want to build a company to go public. That's my dream, actually, when I was 27 years old. And back to the 2010 timeframe, and because I was still at Cisco, I lead a WebEx team. Every day, I did not want to go to office because I did not see a single happy WebEx customer. So I felt pretty bad. So I thought about what I can do differently, to really bring happiness back to those customers. There's no way to kind of tweak the existing solutions. The only way is to build something from the ground up. So that's finally I failed to convince others to support me to build a new solution. So finally I decided to leave. You are so right. It's not that easy decision because you have a family, you have a lot of uncertainty, a lot of risk. However, I feel very fortunate that I live in Silicon Valley because there's so many companies. Failure is okay, right? Meaning as long as you try hard, and so a lot of friends they encourage me. It's time for you to leave to start something. So and looking back, I was the right decision. But the reason why, the day after I left Cisco, when I started my own company, I realized, wow, I should have done that earlier. I should have left to build a company. And plus, I have a kids, and I feel like I'll always work for a bigger company. I feel like my kids will say, wow, you're not, bold enough, right, to work for a startup. So. Great.
Note to self, start your companies even younger.
Yeah, seriously, the younger is better, so, yeah.
And I mean, you've proven that you can make your dreams come true. You wanted to start a company, you wanted to have an IPO, and fast forward to 2019, I believe, Zoom had one of the most successful IPOs of 2019. I guess talk to me just a little bit about the pinch me moment of that. Like, whoa, so much pressure I can imagine, but so much exhilaration and excitement, so much support with your family. Just walk us through some of the emotions that were going through your head of that year.
Yeah, so, and I think probably, for our company to go public, and to travel to New York, right, to ring the Nasdaq bell and standing next to my friend, the Nasdaq CEO, Adina, right, standing next to her, ring the bell, I think that's probably the most important highlight in my life. The reason why, as I mentioned earlier, right, in 1997, I already dreamed someday I want to build a company, go public. You work so hard for many, many years, and finally, dream came true. You are very, very, very excited. And my family is there as well, a lot of Zoom employees. And, but one thing I realized, and that's a long journey. Journey itself is more important than celebrating the final sort of outcome. Because I remember we went public Thursday, and Friday we flew back to San Jose, and Monday morning we started to go back to the office to work. So meaning the journey itself is most important. You got to enjoy the process. Don't focus on the outcome, and you think about what you can do differently, become better aware of yourself, and learn new things, and lead the team, and build a better product, serve a customer well. I think that's the most important thing. So I realized that. We just celebrated for one day. That's pretty much, so, yeah.
Wow. Celebrating for one day, this huge accomplishment, building Zoom into what it is. And to give you guys some context, 2019 is 1 year before 2020 when the pandemic hit. And obviously that's when, for many of us, Zoom became a household name. I know for myself, my child is part of the Zoom generation. My daughter was starting kindergarten, her very first year, entirely on Zoom. I don't know how many of you and the students here had some middle school years on Zoom. Most of you, I think all the hands are raised here. And so this was a very pivotal moment for your company. Talk to us about, like, when I reflect to that moment, there were so many different players in this space. And I remember, I was actually talking to my husband about this last night. I remember going, yeah, but we use Zoom because it just worked. it just worked so well. And I think when you think about that from an engineering perspective, that statement can sound so simple, but that's usually because of such a very solid software architecture and foundation and so much innovation behind it. So I guess talk to me about this COVID moment and how Zoom was able to scale so much, so fast, and really address the societal needs that were so emergent at that time.
Yeah, you are so right. I think back to early 2020, right, there were so many solutions out there, including Zoom. And luckily, Zoom just works, right? You know, all other solutions, and you know, luckily they all sucked. So at that time, and it's just great. It's finally the moment is we realized, wow, it's time for us to really help the world, right? Because leverage our tools, you know, to make the world a better place. So that's the moment I realized all other Zoom employees, we all worked so hard and around the clock because the traffic was coming over the world, right? You know, so we have to add servers and every night, every day. And you know, at that time, I still remember, and the Harvard University, the president called me. You know, Harvard University was the first university to send all the students back to home to learn online. Later they mentioned, Eric, can you guarantee your service reliable? I'm going to make a decision to send all the staff members, students to home. Can I count on your platform? I told him, I personally guarantee you, Zoom will work. Reason why, because engineer hard work. So let's back to the engineer. Because, you know, on day one, and we know, if you want to build a very scalable architecture, you need to make sure anytime, if you have like 1,000 times more traffic, that your architecture support that or not. So on day one, we have that philosophy. So meaning in 2020, we have a huge amount of traffic. We do not need to change our code. You know, the architecture beautifully worked so well. We just add more servers. So that's the big difference. And also a lot of work around the video codec or audio codec. Again, that's also a lot of engineer work. So the video quality is just better. And if you want to use a virtual background, you know, the quality is also better. Again, we have lots of great engineers working so hard for so many years. For that moment, you know, you feel like, oh, Zoom just, you know, works. But behind the scene, a big engineer team worked so hard for so many years. And finally, that's more like a moment, you know, to sort of, you know, show off our technology. So.
Right. And the marketing, I would say the term Zoom was so catchy. I mean, Zoom is not only your company's name, but it has become, I think, a noun and a verb. Like
I'm an engineer. That name did not come from me.
Did it come from you?
Somebody else, you know.
Well, it was a great addition to the company for sure, because I know, you know, we all say, I'm going to Zoom someone, I'm going to do this. And so there's this real beautiful synergy there with the marketing and the engineering side of this. And obviously, Zoom had this big COVID moment. So, I mean, in general terms, how many users did you have before the pandemic? And then how many users did you have a year later? Like, what kind of growth were you dealing with from a technology perspective?
Yeah. Around the end of 2019, on a peak day, we had around 10 million, you know, daily meeting participants. I think in 2020 April timeframe, you know, all the way up to more than 350 million daily meeting participants.
300 from 10 million to 350 million.
Yeah, daily meeting participant, more than 35.
Wow.
35 times. Yeah.
That is some scaling, and your software did it. That's impressive.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, because so many of us relied on that during those really difficult times to connect, not only to be productive in business, but just to connect with other humans. And I think we're starting to see that. Obviously, you know, real-time collaboration, communication, video teleconferencing, it's here to stay. And during that time, I can imagine you learned so much about how to improve that technology, and really dove into this idea of how do you create real connection with people in a virtual space. So what really emerged, you know, as you had 350 million users developing this product, what new features emerged that really pushed on that envelope of true connection?
So By the way, that's a 350 daily meeting participants.
Daily meeting participants, yes.
I think over the past many years, we are way beyond a video conferencing solution, and we built an entire collaboration platform. You can deploy Zoom Phone or contact center, whiteboard, have a Zoom Doc, a lot of collaboration, services already built into our platform. And for sure, we keep improving the quality as well, like echo cancellation, noise reduction, a lot of technology we keep improving. But most important thing is really about AI, and led by our CTO XD. He's also an NAE member as well. So we heavily invest into AI, like a meeting summary, transcription, and also, Zoom is not a communication collaboration company anymore. We are transforming, to be a system of action company. So meaning after the conversation is over, we leverage AI, leverage the workflow to get things done, to take actions, automatically. So that's what we're working on. And it's, I think, it's a huge opportunity ahead of us. So especially, given the AI technology, innovation, speed, right? I think down the road, let's say you and I have a Zoom call. After the meeting is over, guess what? Maybe the sales call, all the sales content data will be automatically stored back to the sales system, or maybe the interview system, right? So you do not need to manually do anything, from conversation to completion. That's kind of our AI investment. So everything is about AI now.
Great, yeah. I mean, I saw in kind of the company description, there's this sentiment of an AI-first platform. And I think XD is here, is that correct?
He is, yes.
Shout out to XD, the CTO.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for joining here today. So I know you talked about what that looks like in a workspace, this action-oriented, like what happens after the call, right? Just take me for a moment, like way in the future, like what kinds of things do you envision that are possible with Zoom, with the virtual space and connection, AI, but even beyond. Like just give me some future thinking.
I think it's not about future. I think it's probably soon is going to happen. Imagine any two people, and no matter where they are in the world, they might speak a different language. In the future, when they join a Zoom call, they can give each other a hug, or shake your hand remotely. You will feel my hand shaking, and you feel like that, right? And anyone speak a different language, you do not need to learn a foreign language anymore. In real time, you can understand each other very well. And also, you get a cup of coffee or tea. I can enjoy the smell remotely as well. So that's a word, to help people stay connected. So imagine today's world, a lot of issues coming from the misunderstanding about the culture, about the language, right? In the future, the call will be I would say, is leverage AI technology, leverage AR technology. You feel like it's a very immersive experience. Feel like the experience like this, we are sitting together. That's a world we are going to live in the future. And plus, if you don't want to join some of the calls, like all hands meeting, you can send your digital twin, right, to join. And your digital twin, my digital twin can work.
They send digital twins to school?
Hopefully.
Maybe not yet.
That's the one thing I don't want you to do that, right? So you better yourself to be the school. But digital twin can help each other, like you and I negotiate a contract, right?
Yes.
Your digital twin, my digital twin can work together, to come up with a preliminary, contract, and then you and I can sign, right? So I think in the future world, AI and AR, certainly can change the way we work, live, learn, and play. So.
Love that. And I think that's going to be here even before we know it. Like the way AI is advancing so fast, a lot of these ways for us to connect are going to be here very, very soon. I want to pivot a little and talk about leadership. So I think I read, and this number may have changed, that you are a named inventor on 29 patents related to real-time communication with...
XD has more.
XD has more, and more pending as well. But you have been there from the beginning, on the innovation side, on the technology side, on the engineering side. And throughout this whole journey, you have led this company. I mean, there are so many companies that hire CEOs, they really separate those two, but you are interwoven as, rooted in technology and also a leader of your company. You were named one of Time's Business, you were named Time's Business Person of the Year on the cover of Times Magazine. How do you wear those hats? Like, how does the engineering side of you, your passion for technology and innovation, how does that really feed into your leadership skills and how you view qualities of leadership that thrive at your company?
Yes, great question. That's why I think my engineer background really helped me to launch the company, build a company, and also every day, improve, our company, the process, a lot of things. I can give tons of examples why engineering mindset is so important, right? We also have a big go-to-market team. And over the past many years, I realized, even you are part of the marketing or sales team, if you have engineer mindset, everything is easier. You can get things done quickly. Like quite often, if you don't have engineer mindset, whenever you're facing a problem, you always want to jump to a solution so quickly, even do not understand the problem well, even do not deep dive to understand root cause. We are very well trained engineers. Before we talk about solution, we always want to take a step back to see what's the problem you're talking about? What's the problem we're trying to address? Make sure we are all on the same page about the problem. And then deep dive to understand what happened, what's the root cause, make sure we're all on the same page. And then we focus on the solution. That's an engineer approach. If you take that approach, quite often, you can save a lot of time, to deal with very complicated, the problems. So that's why engineer mindset is very important. And another thing is, I think you take an ethical approach is also very important. And no matter what you do, right, make sure your solution approach is very responsible. Take AI for example, right? We have, we made a commitment. We never want to use our customer content to train our AI model, right? Because we want to take a responsible approach. So engineer mindset, responsible approach, and plus, the reason why I mentioned like engineer mindset, engineer always want to learn new things, right? The self-learning is very important, right? To be an engineer, to be a leader, to be a manager, working for Zoom for others. If you want to motivate yourself, every day you want to learn, every day want to become better. Either you have a mentor, have a coach, or daily self-reflection, or read a book. They keep learning, lifelong learning. That's very important. Either work for somebody or they lead a team. So.
Great. That's the second time we're hearing, again, lifelong learning. Such an important note there. I think it's so important to hear this. I think not just for our younger students, but also for everyone to know that you don't have to choose. I think sometimes when we go to college, we feel like I have to choose engineering or I have to choose business, but that you can do both, and you can thrive in both, that they can feed together. This engineering mindset that you just have to ask the right questions, find the right answers, and turn that idea into reality is so important. But there's so much to leading a business that's about company culture, that's about hiring others that are leaders in your company. So why don't you talk a little bit about the culture at Zoom and how you really nurture innovation within Zoom as a company?
Yeah, you're so right. I think culture is probably the number one thing if you want to build a sustainable business. So I remember back to 2011 when I started a company. And the first day, I only did two things: write down our company culture and value, and also buy, I bought used furniture to assemble. So, so the company culture at Zoom, our culture is just two words: deliver happiness. So meaning I'm the CEO. My number one priority is not about the customer, product, or partner. My number one priority is to make sure Zoom employee happy. So together we make a customer happy. That's kind of our company culture. And back to the 2020, if not because we had a wonderful culture, given all the traffic, a lot of employees probably they are going to complain. No one complained anything. They all work so hard. They all want to leverage this time, right, to care about the community, care about the customers. So the happiness, this deliver happiness is our company culture. And the reason why we have this culture, I realized. And when I was young, I did not know what's the purpose of life. And I kept asking myself, what's the purpose?
I didn't either.
Yeah, but later on I figured it out. The purpose of life is really about pursuing happiness. But so many things you can do to make yourself happy, but a sustainable happiness coming from making others happy, right? You do all you can, you build a product, make the world a better place, you benefit other people, you'll be happier. Money or other things really cannot make you happy in a sustainable way. And that's the reason why we focus on the happiness culture. And looking back, I think that's probably the most important thing we invested.
Great. And to go on this lifelong learning, I read somewhere, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you have kind of a book club at Zoom as well to nurture lifelong learning, that your employees can invest in books essentially to keep nurturing their love of learning.
Yes, because our the hiring philosophy at Zoom is we do not look at where you were born, which college you went to, right? You went to, and really focus on the two things. One is a self-motivation, another one is self-learning. We really promote the self-learning culture at Zoom. Speaking of self-learning, I think no better way than you buy a book, read a book, learn from that, right? That's kind of what we want to promote and at Zoom. From very early on, we established a book club. And some people mentioned, well, some books very expensive, I cannot afford that. So later on, we have a policy. Anyone you can buy a book, for yourself, for your family. And as long as you buy a book, you want to learn, you want to become better. This is good. You become better, Zoom will benefit, a customer will benefit. And also, back then the policy is there's no cap, right? You can buy any books you want. Recently, we changed a little bit. We added a cap. Make sure you cannot spend like $10,000 a month, right? But overall, the policy is still there. So we encourage our employees to read a book and learn from that.
And to constantly keep learning.
Yeah, yes, it's part of keep learning.
I think there's often when we speak about innovation and we speak about technology, our minds go to hardware, to code, to all of these things. And I think it's really such a great perspective to say, and embedded in a technology company is this ethos of happiness, and that there are emotions attached to technology, that there is connection attached to technology, that there are humans integral to technology, even with AI, as we think about this. And so in the future, I'm excited about where this AI first goes, and how are you balancing that sort of human connection with an AI first mentality to keep nurturing that happiness? Like, speak a little bit to that.
I think first of all, speaking of AI, I think AI does create a huge opportunity for us, especially I think for young generation. I give one example, like for my generation, I joined the company, I need to spend a lot of time on learning so many different applications, right? Every application, the user interface is different. You need to learn. Every day you learn how to navigate through those complicated systems, right? Today in the AI era, you do not need to learn any of those user interface anymore. It's just, more like a ChatGPT interface or voice interface, right? This is great. So meaning the way you interact with other systems, applications is very simple now, right? So even with AI, a lot of agentic framework agent, right? We talk about the digital twin and the better way to interact with the systems, but you still need a human connection. I do not think any AI technology can replace human connection. That's the reason why our vision is really about how to leverage the AI to make a human connection better and better. So quite often, when we interact with the systems, we can improve the experience. But when we improve that experience, you spend much less time on navigating through the systems. You will very likely, we think, you are going to spend more time to stay connected with your friends, your family, with customers and partners, right? So that's the reason why I think our 2.0 journey is really about leverage AI to become AI first, the human connection in the platform.
Amazing, amazing. So thank you so much for answering my questions. I'm honored that I get to ask so many questions. But now I'm going to pivot to the audience. I know our audience has a number of questions, so we have about 20 minutes allocated for questions. And I will help kind of guide us and navigate us through these. And Eric is here, excited to answer all of your burning questions.
Yeah, by the way, feel free to ask any questions. Whoever asks questions, I'd like to give a Zoom VIP account. So.
Nice. We're incentivizing the great questions. I love it, I love it, I love it. So where are our microphones? We've got a microphone here. And is this the only one we have? Or there's one back there. Okay, there's a light, and there's one up there. Okay, so raise your hand if you have questions. Who wants to start with our first question? We got one right here. We'll start here in the front. She's going to bring you the microphone. Yes.
Hi, my name is Rachel Perez, and I come from Korea High School CED. And my question to you is, was there any changes to how Zoom was originally created, and what differences are to how Zoom operates now?
It's a great question. I think when we started, right, and as I mentioned earlier, I did write down a company culture and value. I think after 15 years, culture value is exactly the same, right? No any difference. Everything else probably is different now. And the way we build a product, today, our engineers, we got to leverage AI coding tools to write code, right? And a lot of AI tools. And also the company is much bigger now, and used to be very flat. I'm a CEO, and also I'm also more like a product manager, designers. And also when I started, just myself, all other engineers, and they all write code. Later on, we have a different team and different departments. So, we have a lot of processes and also multiple levels, similar to all other companies. And because every year you have to look at, and when you build up a new year plan, look at what you can do differently next year. Meaning you always change, always change. Every quarter is different, every year is different. And if sometimes it does not work, it's okay, let's change it back. So only culture and value remains the same. Everything else, I feel like today is very different compared to 2011. So I'm not going to spend time to assemble or use the furniture anymore, because the company's got so big. I got to spend time on the most important thing, right? So I myself also changed. My leadership style also got to change it well. The goal is, everyone, working for us, myself included, and plus company, process-wise, employee-wise, we all need to get better. So that's sort of like a big change. So yeah.
Great
Thank you.
question.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Over here.
Hi, my name is Osmani Granados. I come from Somali Academy, and my question to you is, what's the hardest part about being an engineer and a businessman, and how do you balance those two different kind of careers?
What's the hardest part from engineer to become businessman, right? So I think, as I mentioned earlier, if you are an engineer and the engineer mindset really help you a lot when you try to run a business, meaning you take a very pragmatic approach, right? Like every day we look at a math problem, right? You always think about, what's the solution, right? You always keep, trying to get a solution. Right? To run a business, no matter how good you think your business is, every day you are facing all kinds of problems or challenges, right? If you are a very well-trained engineer, you are not afraid of that, because in your high school and college, every day there's so many math questions, right? Physics questions. You're already very well trained. So when I deal with all those business challenges, I feel like more like either a math question or math test, right? So that's why, if you have a very good engineer background, I think it's much easier for you to become a businessman.
Great questions. Oh, we've got one here in the front. Or if there's someone sorry, I don't want to make you guys walk too much. Is there one over here? Okay, right here. Yeah, we'll do this, and then we'll tee you up next, okay?
Yeah, feel free, any question. That's a great question, thank you.
Hello, Mr. Yuan. I'm Anthony Rizzo from Cabrillo High School in the engineering program. And I wanted to ask you, how did you get started? Did you have a team with you to help you make your ideas real? And did you receive any type of investments into your company? Like, who invested into you?
Great question. So that's why every day I think you got to be very nice to your friends, and so be very generous as well. Because someday you have a big dream, you want to achieve something. I don't think you can do it by yourself. You always need someone to support you. You know, when I started, I thought I was vice president of engineer. I can easily raise a lot of money, and I know a lot of friends and VC friends. And unfortunately, all of them, they do not like my idea. They thought the world does not need to another video conference solution because Skype or Google Hangout or WebEx, you know, everything, all the product already there. So no one wanted to invest. And luckily, I mentioned, you know, my idea to my friends, and I had a very poor PowerPoint slide. I hate that. So I sent the PowerPoint slide to my friends, and whoever opened the PowerPoint, they decided to not invest. Whoever did not open up the PowerPoint, they decided to invest. The reason why they trust me, they know I'm a friend of them. They even did not know what I was going to do. They all invested me, because you know, and again, those friends very, very helpful, right? You know, after high school and college, if you want to start a company, your high school buddies probably the best co-founders, or college, you know, the classmates. So yeah, be generous, you know, be nice. And every day you get better and better. You will make a lot of good friends. So they will support you. So, yeah.
But it's such a good lesson. I mean, you talked about just your work ethic and how hard you work, and your friends knew that from day one.
Exactly.
Like whatever
Yeah.
idea you put forth, I know you're going to make it happen. And there's something really special about that.
Yeah, especially like when you don't become a adult, you know, reputation matters. So yeah.
Yeah. So be that person that also works hard and that people want to invest in, regardless of the idea. All right, here we go.
Hi, my name is Kevin Lesbrance from the Cabrillo High School Engineering Design program, and my question to you is, how will the recent concerns of child safety on the internet affect the future of Zoom?
Great. Okay, question about privacy, safety.
So such a great question. So we learned a hard way, actually, you know, because the reason why when we started 2011, Zoom was built to serve for enterprise customers. We never thought about K-12 schools will use Zoom. That's the reason why, you know, before 2020, we had so many security privacy features built into our system, but we do not enable for customers by default. The reason why, when we serve for enterprise customers, every customer is different. Their IT team will evaluate all the security privacy features, and then they decide, you know, which feature to enable, which feature to turn on, turn off. But when COVID came, and we offered free service to so many K-12 schools at that time, and very soon realized many K-12 schools, they do not have IT team. And for the first few weeks, and some students very, very excited. They shared a Zoom link, you know, to the social media without password. You know, caused a lot of problems. You know, we learned hard way. You know, very soon realized we need to play a role for IT. You know, we set a lot of default privacy and security features, you know, for the K-12 schools. You know, with that aside, I think you know, we take a very responsible approach. You know, think about it from a kid's perspective. What we can do, you know, differently, right? Either add more features for the K-12 schools, or maybe some features default. And also, we also, you know, took, I think, the summer, you know, the CAP, you know, to talk with those, you know, K-12 school teachers and to learn from them. You know, what we can do differently, right, to serve those K-12 schools. As long as you have that responsible mindset, I think you'll be fine, because rest of the work, just the engineer work, right? Either privacy or security, as can be solved easily. But the key is really about, you look at it from end user perspective, right? Look at it from a K-12 kids perspective, what it can do differently to make sure when they use Zoom, they feel very secure, feel very safe. So that's kind of our approach.
Great. Some great insight as well to adapting. I mean, the success of a company is often that ability to adapt. So all of a sudden you're like, whoa, K-12 market, this is a huge
Exactly.
thing. And you guys rose to that challenge for sure.
The lesson learned, don't look at it from your perspective. Always think about it from others' perspective before you come up with a solution. Yeah.
Great stuff. Okay, we have a question over here. Sorry, there's a light, I can't see. Right here, yes.
I'm Alan Distancia, and I'm from Summerlee Academy. And I wanted to ask you, what struggles did you face after the sudden boom in like users in 2019 to 2020? Did that like hurt the system of Zoom at all?
Boy, I think at that time, I think it's sort of unprecedented, right? So we never thought about so many users, so many different use cases, right? Someone got married on Zoom, right? A lot of use cases. So and how to architecture-wise, we are okay. We do not have any problem. But suddenly you have so many use cases. We never thought about that. How to balance your resources, to support those in brand new use cases. And not to mention I have so many big banks, universities, and the enterprise customers, right? So balance resources, right? Prioritize. That's probably the very challenging problem I was facing at that time. The second thing, I just feel like every day we only have 24 hours. At that time, I thought so many times, how come every day only 24 hours? I need more time, and because we got to work around the clock. Daytime, we add traffic here. In the evening, we have users from India, from Japan, from South America. A lot of users, right? So, and you just feel like you need to sleep, right? And even if I have, way more sleepless nights than any time in my career, but I still feel like I do not have enough time. So those two challenges. So yeah.
Great question. Okay, I think we're going to go to this side. Here we go.
Hi, my name is Jordan from Summerlee Academy, and I was just wondering what's one of the biggest risks that you've taken when building Zoom, or even that you're taking now?
The biggest risk is I was too old if I started a company, so it's 41 years old. Yes, that's why the younger you start a company, the better. The reason why is when I was 41 years old, right? You already learn a lot of things. You already know some friends start a company, failed, and you do not have enough energy. The biggest risk is is the energy level, right? Compared to when I was 25, I do not sleep Friday night. The Saturday I still can go to office to work or play soccer, right? So when I started a company, and at that time, 41 years old, you just you do not know when you are not going to have enough energy, right? Because as I mentioned back to 2020, every day working so hard, but can you work as hard as you can? You still have enough energy. That's the first risk. Another risk is more like you have a lot of uncertainty, right? Full of uncertainty. You do not know where the risk is coming from at all at that time. And luckily, mentally, I was prepared well. I knew actually even today is very smooth. Tomorrow is something new. Next week something new. As long as you have an engineer mindset, don't worry about that. No matter what you do, no matter which business you are going to operate, you always face all kinds of challenges, uncertainty. That's also risks. But as long as you have a right mindset, deal with those risks, you should be okay. So yeah.
Great. We have time for a couple, maybe a few more questions. We'll go over here.
Hello, my name is Chelsea Pignon. I come from Somali Academy, and my question is, since AI is quite a hot topic today, how will you implement AI into Zoom?
Do you have any ideas? So, yeah, we love all this feedback. I think, AI is going to change everything, and huge opportunity ahead of us. Also, the bigger challenge as well, right? So, from our perspective, right, step one, really leverage AI to improve our functionalities, improve features. More like a few years ago, we already have a summary, transcription, help you to write a chat messages, right? Those are very basic AI features. Now we'll think about more like, hey, how to leverage AI to build a workflow. So essentially, when you work a company, every day you manually to do so many things, collaborate with your teammates, get a thing done. Believe it or not, even no matter how big the company is, how successful they are from outside, inside, internally, a lot of process either do not have a documentation or manual process, right? How to leverage AI to fully automate everything. And that's kind of what we are thinking. And a lot of product functionalities, services are around that area, and also leverage the workflow and leverage our conversation to take actions for you, to leverage AI, do the work for you. That's kind of the roadmap. So we are working on. So.
Great questions. Okay, next one's here.
Hello, my name is Jacob Fukushima from Cabrillo High School. And I was just wondering that, referring back to AI, do you think that with AI, do you think that you could build an kind of unhealthy usage of it? Do you think that it could actually harm your company instead of benefiting from it?
It's a good question.
Yeah, such a great question. So whenever there's a new technology, always positive and impact, also negative influence, right? So every new technology always like that. So that's kind of sort of like the either sense nature or human nature. Any new technology, no difference over the past 100, 200 years. But this time, I think AI, in my view, is the same, right? So for sure, AI will help us, make the world much better and fully automate everything, and leverage AI, build all kinds of robots, right? And free up our resources, free up our time. We can do so many other things. I think for sure I'm very, very optimistic. You're also right. AI also might create a lot of things. Maybe may not be good to society, but fundamentally I believe the world has more good people than those bad ones, right? To leverage technology to damage the society. As long as that's the case, I do not worry about that. So whenever someone leverage AI to do something bad, I think there's a lot of other good people and good engineers, good scientists, researchers, right? They can come up with a better solution. So, and again, I'm very optimistic. If you want to start a business, you have to be optimistic. If you want to be a good engineer, a good a scientist, you have to be optimistic. When you deal with a very tough math problem or science problem, first of all, you should tell yourself, I can figure out a way to address this problem. I can come up with a solution. As long as you have mindset, I think anytime, whenever a new technology, you should be fine. So.
Great questions. I just want to thank everyone for your questions. We have just a little bit of time to wrap up. And of course, thank you, Eric, for coming here today and sharing all of these thoughts. It's so interwoven with this theme of engineering the future, innovation for people and the planet. But we've touched on hard work, we've touched on determination, perseverance, a lifelong love of learning, adaptability, risk-taking, so many things. I just want to give you an opportunity to say some final thoughts to our audience here today before we wrap up and go to our next session.
Great. So first of all, very, very excited, and especially so many very young, very talented high school students. I'm also inspired by your questions as well. I think a few things on top of my mind. I think, first of all, hard work is very important. And if you want to accomplish a lot, if you really want to help the world, always think about hard work. It's extremely important. That's number one. Number two, whenever you work hard, for sure you are going to make a lot of progress. At that time, don't be arrogant. Stay humble. And those two things are very important. And last but not least, always think about giving back. Volunteer to help the world, help the society, help the community, and you'll be happier. they always think about caring about others, caring about the community, society, and the world and the country. And yeah, so hard work, stay humble, and give back. So.
Wonderful stuff. Well, thank you so much for everything you've done to innovate the future. Thank you so much for all of you. I look forward to a future of virtually giving you handshakes, and I look forward to the future of an AI-first Zoom, and just thank you so much for all of your thoughts today. And at this point, we are going to pass it over back to Sujay. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much, Eric, again, for sharing your professional journey, your key lessons learned, and vision for the future with us today. And I'd like to thank Diane for moderating an engaging discussion and a Q&A session. And also to the students, thank you for your thoughtful and thought-provoking questions. You are giving us hope for a brighter future tomorrow, so thank you. I think it's really exciting to see how technology advancement is going to continue to transform how we live, work, and play, how we communicate, connect, collaborate, and hopefully understand one another on a global scale.